I've had a lot of women reach out and ask me specifically what they can do when they want to prepare, but their husband has no desire to be involved in that preparedness, or their husband doesn't want them to prepare at all. So today we're going to talk about a few steps that you can take, concrete things that you can do to either prepare when your husband isn't on board, but he's okay with you doing it, or even things that you can do when your husband says, I don't want you to get involved in preparedness. There are things you can do that you can legitimately say, it isn't just preparedness, and there are things that you can do to keep your family safe and to provide for your family when you need to. The first thing I suggest is that you pray, because God is bigger than your husband's heart, and it is a good thing. And God's bigger than my heart. And I'm not always in the right on these things. And so taking it to God and allowing him to really work in my heart and my husband's heart is the first thing that I suggest right off the bat. Secondly, as a wife, do not nag or push your husband into this. I don't know about you, but when I'm adamant about something and I talk to my husband about it over and over, the human response from him is, I'm going to dig my heels in all the more, and there's no way that I'm going to get on board with that. Now, that doesn't always happen. My husband is generally pretty good about really listening, and I'm generally pretty good about not overly pushing things. But don't push and don't nag, because you are going to push him away even more. Instead of pushing and nagging, have an honest conversation with him. Explain to him why you want to do this. Have concrete things that you can do that don't cost a lot. Show him that you can help him with these things. Show him that if something happens, that you can take care of your family. And then stop and let him talk and really, really listen. And that's so important, because when you really listen to what your husband's concerns are, or what his frustrations are, or what is keeping him from being on board with this, then you can take a moment, think it through, and craft something that helps him either understand based on what he's expressed to you that he is struggling with, or even based on his feelings or his thoughts. And it really allows you to communicate well with him. So make sure you're really listening to what his objections are to preparedness. If he is adamant that he's not on board, but he's willing to let you do something, do what you can. So if he's told you that you can't spend more than you spend now on groceries and other household supplies, there are ways to get more for less and to get your family prepared without drastically raising your budget. There are specific details below in the description on a live class that I'm going to be holding in January, starting January 8th, and it's going to run every Monday through February 12th. We are actually going to dig into that in the nitty gritty. I am going to help you get prepared without drastically raising your grocery budget. And I don't just mean prepared with food. We're going to talk about a myriad of different ways that you can be prepared. And I'm going to help you get there without raising your grocery budget much, if at all. So when your husband says you can prepare, but at the same time, he doesn't want to get involved, a couple of ways to help him are to purchase items that do double duty. So like, for example, 5-gallon buckets you can get them cheaply and inexpensively. And if you aren't sure how to do that, I will have a link below in the description to an article that walks you through the whole process of different places you can get less expensive or free buckets. So get yourself some free buckets, heavy duty trash can liners, kitty litter. Those things can do double duty for you. So for example, if you are ever without water, you can make a portable latrine. What we do is we take a 5-gallon bucket, we double line it with our black trash bags. There are snap-on toilet lids that'll fit on these 5-gallon round buckets. And then we keep kitty litter in there and a 1/2 cup measuring cup. So every time somebody uses it, we dump kitty litter in to absorb the liquid, to help with the smell. It doesn't take care of the smell completely, but it does really help. So all of those things, except for the snap-on lid, can do double duty. You can use the buckets to store things. You can use it to store your food or other items. You've got your trash bags, which obviously you can use for just trash. If you have a cat, you've got kitty litter for that. But if you don't have a cat and you live in a cold-prone area, keeping kitty litter in the back of your vehicle also helps because one, it weighs it down, and two, if you get stuck, you can put kitty litter out and it'll give you traction so that you can get moving again. So all of those things serve more than one purpose. Another way that you can help your husband not be frustrated with your preparedness is to better organize the things that you have so that you can fit more into the same space. So that way your husband isn't like, well, you're taking over this new room or you're taking over the whole closet. But if you better organize what you already have, then you get more in, and he's not frustrated by it because it's contained and it's in a space that you were already using. So that's another way that you can help him not be frustrated with your preparedness. Also, another thing that you can do is you can make sure that you have backups to normal items because, again, I don't think any husband, even if he says, I really don't want you to get involved in preparedness, is going to have an issue with you having 2 can openers or even 3 can openers if you put one back, or making sure that you have extra matches. So buy backups for things that you would use anyway. Because again, that doesn't have to be labeled as preparedness. Also make sure that you have backstock to all of your items. When I was younger, my kids were younger, I made sure that I had 1 extra of everything. For laundry detergent, I had the laundry detergent I was using and I had 1 full backup. And then when I was out of the laundry detergent in the one that I was using, I moved the backup up and I purchased another one. But it's easier if we have several backups now. So like I keep about 6 months of laundry detergent in my house. I keep about 6 months of toilet paper in my house. I keep about 6 months of shampoo and body wash and all of my personal care items in the house, toothbrushes, toothpaste, all of that. But that way your husband can't say that, okay, that you're doing something crazy because you're just having backups. So if you can do 1 in a backup, do 1 in a backup. But if you can do 1 and 2 backups or 1 and 3 backups, do that because again, it doesn't necessarily have to be considered prepping, but you are taking care of your family and you're providing for them if everything gets difficult. Something else that you can do is take care of any necessary vehicle maintenance or house maintenance issues now. Because again, your husband may not think of that as preparedness, but you are making sure that everything is taken care of. So like if you have a faucet that's slightly leaking, well, you take care of it before it becomes a big issue. Or if you have something with your car maintenance that you've been putting off, get it done now. So that way, if things get tight or if there's problems, it's already done. You don't have to worry about it. Also, any elective medical tests or procedures that you need to have done, take care of them now, because that way you are making sure it's done. You don't have to worry about it. And if the medical system gets overwhelmed, that's not something that has to stress you out because you've already taken care of whatever that medical thing is that you could do. Another suggestion, if your husband really isn't on board with preparedness in general, is to capitalize on the areas of preparedness that he is involved with or that he loves. So, for example, if he really enjoys shooting, ask him, can I pick up some extra ammo so we can keep it here so that we have it for when we want to go practice? If you can show him that you're willing to help him with the areas of preparedness that he is interested in, there's going to be more of a chance that he's going to be willing to let you do some more with preparedness in more overt prepper ways. So having backup ammo, if he loves to hunt, asking him if there's anything that he wants to keep on hand so he has it for hunting or fishing, and then get involved with these areas with him if he'll let you. So like ask him, hey, can I go to the gun range with you? And if you've not gone to the gun range with him, that might surprise him, but that might also really excite and encourage him and give you something more to talk about. So that'll lead to more conversations that are just really natural about preparedness. And again, if he sees that you're on board with him, then he might be more on board with you. So giving in the areas that you can give is also a really big boon. And then the last thing I want to tell you is sometimes you just gotta wait. So when my husband and I were much younger and our kids were much younger, I had accidentally gotten started on prepping by couponing. I was not one of these crazy couponers that would walk away with 200 bottles of ketchup or 50 bottles of mustard or anything like that. But I learned how to feed my family of 6 at that time for $200 a month. And not only did I feed my family for $200 a month, but I also amassed a whole room full of food. So in doing that, I realized, you know what? I'm actually preparing for things. You know, if something were to happen, my family is going to be taken care of. How cool is that? So I started getting into more areas of preparedness because of that. We went ahead and bought a Berkey. We bought a pressure canner and we started learning how to garden. All of these things, all because I got into couponing. Well, my husband, he was kind of okay with it, but not 100% on board. One of the things that really helped him is he is really big into taking care of people. We had people often stop by and ask if they could have a sandwich or they could have a glass of water, or if we wanted to hire them to do some things. I've had people stop me in parking lots and say, hey, can you give me money for groceries? So instead of giving money for groceries, what I would do is I would say, wait here for 10 minutes. I ran home. I would fill 2 or 3 grocery bags full of food from our storage room. And then I would go back with 2 or 3 bags of groceries. And that helped my husband because he saw that I wasn't just hoarding, that I was being generous. And so that was one of the things that helped. But we would still have conversations where he's like, we really don't need 3 months of stuff. Karen, I never even want to consider having a year's worth of stuff. And we had those conversations. But about 7 years ago on New Year's Day, we woke up to frozen pipes and no water. So at that time we were renting, we called the renter's agent and we said, okay, we don't have water. Can you have somebody come out and get our water going? Well, they sent somebody out. First of all, we couldn't have it the first day because it was New Year's Day. Nobody was working. So it was January 2nd. Someone came out and tried to unfreeze our pipes and they couldn't. So they tried for much longer than they normally do, and they still couldn't unfreeze our pipes. So they waited 2 days and they came back. So we were without water in our house for 4 days. But the really cool thing is I had buckets. I had a snap-on toilet lid. I had kitty litter. I had a 5-gallon camping water container with a spigot on it. So we were able to stay in our house, and we had guests. So we were able to stay in our house for those 4 days. Yes, we did go over to my mom's to shower, but we could stay in the house. We could sleep in the house. We could go to the bathroom in the house. We could wash our hands in the house. We just couldn't do laundry at the house, and we couldn't shower in the house. We washed dishes at the house too. All because I had spent about $75 on different prepper supplies. And we didn't have cats at the time, but we had kitty litter. We still had that on hand. And it was when my husband realized that I had saved us between $700 and $1,500 because I had spent $75 max on all these different things, all that had other purposes as well, except for the snap-on toilet lid. And it was at that point that my husband was like, there's something to this prepping. I see why you're doing this. Oh my goodness, this makes sense. And not only did it make sense to him, he was completely on board with it from that point on. So it was really, really cool. It was probably a year before I wrote A Year Without the Grocery Store. But because I was willing to wait, because I wasn't pressing him, because we were having these honest conversations, it really helped. And then all of a sudden there's this situation which I was ready for, which saved us significant money because I had a few little things, and it helped him see the value of that preparedness. And I'm not the only person that has happened to. That has happened to several people that I know of. So again, take the time and wait. And I know we hate to wait, but you never know what's going to happen and what situations are going to occur and how the Lord is going to work everything out for you as you are waiting. So as you are going through this, remember, you are not alone. Remember that there are still things that you can do. Even if your husband says, I don't want you doing overt preparedness things, there are still things that you can do. And remember, as you're walking through this, you've got this, Mama.